Hello, friends, and welcome. This is I am your host, Joel Vardy from Agility CMS, and we will be doing some amazing stuff today with Agility CMS, with Ecommerce. We're going to be using Next.js, and I'm going to be showing you how to hook all that together in a starter, and it's going to be amazing. We're going to do stuff with a lot of stuff with no code to get started with, and then we're going to jump into some code later on to show you how to customize things and to get it all set up in an amazing way for you. This is just a really, really exciting time in the sort of whole web headspace, headless space, API driven. Everything's headless, everything's API driven, and you can do so much and build such a fast, high performing website. That this is just something that I think everyone really should see this workshop. So we're going to do this all in half an hour or less, and let's get started. First of all, I want to see where everyone is joining from, because we had a ton of people sign up for this workshop. I just want to see where everyone is coming from. I'm coming to you from Port Hope, Ontario, which is about an hour or so east of Toronto in Canada. So, oh my goodness, we got Guelph, India, Lebanon, Brooklyn, New York. This is great. Welcome, everybody. Let's jump right into it. I'm going to see if I can share my screen. I'm going to share my entire screen, so hopefully that works well for everybody. And then it's nice and smooth. Please let me know in the comments if there's any issues with audio or video, and I'll see if I can do anything to fix that. Hopefully everything goes well with my own internet connection. All right, so what we want to do is we're going to get you created with an Agility account that will help you get working with e-commerce, headless e-commerce with Next.js, okay? So the first thing to do is to go to the agilitycms.com website. Hopefully you can do that pretty easily, and go under the resources section to starters. And we're going to be using a starter package called Commerce with Next.js. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw that. Probably going to move too fast for you guys to actually follow along as you go. This session will be recorded, so you can play it back and kind of go slowly with it later on. And then you can kind of go from there, okay? But what we're going to be doing first is actually just creating the Agility instance that this Commerce package will give you. So this is going to be, an optimized, fully functional commerce system that you can use. It has image optimization. It's set up for multi-language and internationalization, and it has integrations with a bunch of different e-commerce platforms, including BigCommerce and Shopify. We're going to be using Shopify today just because it's super fun. It's Canadian. I'm from Canada too, but any headless platform can work with this stuff. Lots of demos out there, okay? And lots of documentation on this page to help you walk through what's going on with this, okay? You can even see a live preview of the site if you click here. And this is, I've got this set up. This is actually through my personal BigCommerce store. This is created with the sample data from BigCommerce. Okay, so this is in our example. It has, product details pages. It's got, I think there's a search, pretty fast search that works for this that uses, shirt. We can search for stuff. So that's all set up. It's even got a blog on the bottom of here that we can use, and this blog allows us to feature products on here as well. So this is the starter data that we're going to be going with, okay? So you can feel free to go through and check that out. The source code for this is also available, all right? And we're going to be actually cloning that later to see if we can actually work with it. By the way, I tend to talk and go really, really fast. So if you want me to slow down, pop that into the chat, and if I remember, I'll check the chat and we'll sort of slow down or answer your questions. If you have any questions, please throw those in the chat as well. Aman, thank you for letting me know that the screen is fine. That's great. Okay, let's do this. So the first thing we're going to do is click this purple arrow thing that basically gets us started with this. And what that's going to do is actually create an Agility account for us. Okay, so I'm already logged in with my Gmail address into Agility. So if you're not logged into Agility, it'll ask you to create an account. You can either use a username and password or use one of your social accounts to do that. I'm going to call this my Shopify. Oh, geez, I'm going to learn how to type. Store. I'm going to call it store. October 15. Oh, this is the 14th, not 13th. Here we go. All right. I create a lot of these, so I tend to put the dates in there. All right, So this is going to go and create that Shopify, that e-commerce instance. It is not tied to Shopify yet. Okay, all this is doing is setting up the Agility instance for you. I haven't deployed anything anywhere, and I don't have any code sitting anywhere. So when you're working with APIs and content, you're going to have things that are, we have got my Agility CMS data, which is just my content, right? But I haven't created my store yet anywhere. You may already have a Shopify store or a BigCommerce store or some other store set up on a headless e-commerce system. We haven't connected that in yet, okay? But we're gonna get to that in a second. What we've got sitting in here in Agility is there's some content. So we've got some blog posts, and I've got a site data piece of content. So you can add more content into this system. This is just what we give you kind of out of the box as part of that template. So you're gonna have the ability to create blog posts for this. And that's pretty straightforward to set up. Okay, I've got 3 posts in there. Okay, so we also have the ability to manage pages. And this is significantly different from pretty much any other headless CMS system that's out there in terms of giving you this sitemap and giving you the pages and allowing you to put components, we call them modules, on each page. So you see this home page, we've got 4 modules that are on here: feature product, a product listing, a hero module, and a product marquee that's on here. You'll see later, these are linked, if you're a developer, these are linked directly to React components, okay? So you can think of these modules as the props for your components, okay? And in the case of like a feature listing, all this is doing is giving you some settings, which are some props, and then we actually have component-based data loading where it's going to go out to the headless e-commerce system, pull in the list of products that we need based on these settings, and lay them out however we want, okay? By the way, I should have mentioned this. We are actually just using a version of Commerce that's created by Vercel called Next.js, okay? So the Vercel team is the company that maintains Next.js. And they created this. They came out with this last November, and they've been iterating on it ever since. So this is what we forked this, and this is what we'll be working with to create this. Okay. So in case you're wondering, like, who created the base code for this, it's all open sourced through Next.js and Vercel. Okay. Good question from Stefan. For post types like Strappy has, so you can completely change your data types as you need to. So for instance, my blog, this page is actually built off the blog post list, but I can change the content model for blog posts however I want, change whatever fields I want to have on there. I'm not going to get too deep into content modeling, but we also have a models section in Agility where you can actually set up however many content models you want. Okay. So that's part of the Agility onboarding that we do with folks. Also lots of documentation about that. I'm not going to dive too much into there because we're already 8 minutes in, and boy, do we have a lot to cover. It's going to be great. Okay, so lots of pages that are here. What's cool about this is now I can create more pages as I want to promote different products. I can create landing pages, do whatever I want, but we're going to stick with what's on here for now. And then we're going to hook this up to an e-commerce provider. We're going to deploy it to Vercel, and then we're going to work with the code. All right, let's do this. So the first things first, we want to deploy this to Vercel. And we actually there's like a 2-in-1 step here, okay? So we're going to go to our sitemaps. This is where we set up deployments. Okay, so I went to settings, sitemaps, and we've got this button here for setup deployments. Okay, and we're going to deploy this to Vercel. Okay, this project really works best on Vercel. You don't have to deploy it on Vercel, but I highly recommend it for what you're going to see next. Okay, this is probably the smoothest deployment sort of mechanism that we have of all of these different options that are here. Okay, so we need to basically create. This is, by the way, you're probably only going to do this if you want to see, like, actually work with this. If you're just testing out a CMS, you might not need to go this far, but this will give you the full full experience of actually deploying the site as well. Okay, so we need to actually create a Git repository because, as I said, there's content, there's the code that's going to render that content, and then we have to hook it up to our e-commerce provider as well. All right. Okay, so here we go. We have a Git repository. I'm going to put it in my own Git scope. I'm going to automatically use the same repository name that it came up with. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and create that. All right. I already had a Git account. If you didn't have one, you could create one here. I'm not going to create a Vercel team right now, but if you're looking into Vercel as something you're going to use to host, I highly recommend using a plan. I'm going to skip it for now because it's just for a personal project. And I'm going to add the integration into Agility, okay? So this just basically says, hey, are we going to allow Agility to talk to our brand new Shopify store? And yes, we're okay with that. Boom, let's set it up. We're going to click OK. And now my Shopify store is connected to Vercel, okay? So that's done. I've installed the Agility integration into my project, and that's going to go. So this will actually clone that source code for you. It's going to do a build onto Vercel. That'll take a minute. It actually hasn't hooked it up to Shopify yet. That'll be the next step that we do after this is complete. What's really cool about all of this is I haven't had to write any code yet. I just kind of wiring up the different tools. And you'll find that when you're talking about sort of modern web development, it's more about connecting the tools that you work with as opposed to, inventing new code and writing like lots of backend methods and things like that. It's more about connecting those tools. So I kind of think it like Lego blocks. You just plug in different blocks together and working with them that way. And in a lot of cases, you don't need any code out of the box until you want to start, customizing things for your own use. Okay, here we go. So it's just building. This thing takes about, for the first build, between a minute or a minute and a half. You may have had to create a Vercel account or a Git account if you don't have those. Those are all free to get going with. All these tools that I'll be showing you are free. Our build failed, but don't worry about that. We're okay with that. Don't worry about that right now. Okay, so because we haven't hooked it up to our stuff. So I'm going to jump back to here. I've got my Shopify store that's there, right? Okay, I don't have a production deployment. That's okay. All right, I'm going to go back to my home here and go to integrations. All right, I'm going to go to Shopify. I'm going to, actually, let's just go from scratch as if I'd never done this. I'm going to actually, I'd already installed this once, so I'm going to go back as if I had never installed anything, okay? So I'm in my main Vercel account. I see I've got the Agility CMS integration installed. I'm going to browse to the marketplace, and I'm going to add the Shopify integration directly into here. Now, this is not the only way you can do this, but this is a code-free way to do this, okay? I'm going to click Add Integration, and it'll ask me, hey, where do you want to add this to? I'm going to add this onto my Vercel account, my Joel Vardy account, and it's going to ask me which project. And I have a lot of projects, but we're going to do this BigCommerce store October 14. So what this is going to do for me is it's going to pop up a window. And if I didn't have a Shopify account, it would create an account for me. So I can create a store right here. But I actually already have a Shopify store that I've created. It is the best store ever. You'll see in a second. I can just connect it with that, okay? So that's pretty cool. Sharma, don't worry about facing an error in the build step. It will fail until we connect our Shopify store into there, okay? Now, I cannot remember my Shopify store URL, so I'm just going to go and log into Shopify. Go ahead and do that. Oh yeah, it's called Agility CMS Swag Test. I wanted to show how can I create it like a swag shop. I want to sell some clothing. All right, so this is just an example. All right, so oops, here's my pop-up. So I'm going to paste my store URL into there. I'm going to click connect. So now I'm connecting that store into this that Shopify store into this Vercel project. Okay, and what that does is it actually pulls in the environment variables that I need. Okay, my Shopify store, here we go. And if I check, let's just double check this actually works now. I'm going to go to the settings of that store or that project. I'm going to click in environment variables. And hopefully I will see, doggone it, I don't see my environment variables. Did I set to the wrong spot? Let me do this again. Integrations, Shopify, configure. It's connected to here, connect. Oh, I did the wrong one. I did the BigCommerce store, which was a totally different thing. Give me a second. I did the wrong project. Gosh darn it. I always make mistakes. Give me a second. Let's remove this again. All right, let's do this again. All right, Shopify, add integration. I want to do Joel Vardy, specific projects. I want to do my Shopify store. All right, my Shopify store Vercel project. Cool. Oh my goodness, this is being a poopy pants. Let's try this one more time. Shopify is not being my friend right now. Oh, it's working. There you go. Okay. So this is the connect your store thing. And hopefully I'm connected now. Shopify GraphQL app. I hope this actually did it. That doesn't look like it should have looked. Give me one more try at this. I think I may have broken the Shopify Vercel integration. Okay, now it worked. Fifth time's a charm. Okay. My Shopify store, here we go. I'm going to jump back into my project. I'm going to check the environment variables. That was an awful lot of work just to set some environment variables. But you can see I've got this next public Shopify storefront environment variable here. So, and I've got already my agility environment variables that are set. So in those 25 short steps, we've actually connected these two projects. And now if I go to my deployments, this is the failed deployment. I can just redeploy that. Okay, so now in theory, everything should just work. So this should deploy to the site. It's going to pull my products in from my Shopify store. I can't wait for you guys to see what I'm selling in my store. And it should connect to the agility data as well to pull in the content from agility and blend all that together in this awesome website. Now, if you're not too familiar with what Next.js does, Next.js is a framework for, sorry, I'm just trying to read some comments, but I'm going to keep talking, for building SEO-friendly web apps on top of React. So it's a React-based framework, but it also runs on the server to generate the pages statically for you, but also has this thing called incremental static regeneration, which runs on Vercel, so that as pages change, so as you change your products in your e-commerce engine, your commerce backend like Shopify, or if you change the content in Agility, the page will automatically update and you don't have to do a new deployment. So it's awesome. It's just super fast. So on something like Black Friday, if you get 1 million people all coming to your site at the same time, it's not going to go down on you the same way that if you didn't have it running statically, it could crash on you. It happens all the time for folks. So this is a really, really great way to run, especially e-commerce type apps. Okay, so this is building. It looks like it's going to go through here. And one of the interesting things, if you just check what's going on in the sort of code here, you can see provider equals Shopify. So this code that we're using allows us to use Shopify or BigCommerce, and there's a few other providers as well. And in our help site, we've got documentation on that. And I think there was links to it from that starter page as well to help you get started with all those things. Sharma, finally did this, but don't know I am right or wrong. I'm not sure what your question is. The link that you sent, I believe that's just the base page for our the example demo for this project. Okay, so it looks like my build worked. Yay! I'm going to click visit. All right, so here it is. I've got my whole thing, and you can see my featured product hasn't updated because that was saved from like the default data that was delivered as this. But now I've got my rainbow socks, I've got my fun shirt, and I've got my pants that are part of the products from Shopify. Okay, this is all from my Shopify store that these are here. Okay, and you can see it loads. And I don't know if I have different versions of the pants. I've only got one product image. But if I had more product images, it would just show up here. Okay, so it's pulling that from Shopify. Okay, pretty doggone cool, right? So let's go in and see if we can actually work with the code for this now, right? Because we've got it all set up. I can actually jump in and look at my products here too. So my products that are in Shopify, I could add a new product here, and it's going to show up inside the store based on when the data refreshes, and all that's there. So you have, I can manage all my e-commerce stuff inside Shopify, and I can manage my blog posts and all my other sort of website type content in Agility. And that's pretty great in terms of giving me the power to put all that together, and it's rendered in a really, really fast website, okay? So let's look at the actual code that's generated for this and see how we can work with that, okay? So what we did is we actually, let me close some tabs here because I got too much stuff going on. All right. Oh, by the way, I think this also hooked up our preview URL. So in Agility now, should have showed this, we actually have this preview button and actually can click here to go and view this site, okay? So this is now connected to Agility. So I've tied together Agility, Vercel, and Shopify to the code that's linked in GitHub. Okay, so it's all been brought together into the using my CMS pretty much as my hub for this. Okay, all right. So let's jump into Vercel again and look at this Shopify store, this project. We have a link to my Git repository that it created for me. All right, so this is the code for this. All right, so here we go. Created it, it gave it a repository name. I made it private. I should have made it public so that you guys can see it, but it's the same code that's on the Agility repo as well. I'm going to clone this code locally. So now we're into like the developer part of the session. Okay, so up to now you didn't have to be a developer. You could do all that stuff just by plopping everything together. What I'm going to do, Amon, is actually send you the link to the main starter repo that you can see. So if you go to that starter that I first showed you, open that up, you can see here, there's this Git repo here. That's the main one that you're going to be working with, okay? But you actually don't even need to go there because if you follow the steps that I went through, it'll clone a repo just for you in your GitHub, okay? Which is what I have, right? Oh, excuse me. Oh, geez. Come on. Here we go. Got two windows open. All right. Right here. All right. So view my Git repository. Here's the Git URL. I just copied that. So now in my terminal window, which I'm going to zoom in even further here so you folks can see. All right. So I'm going to go. I'd already done this once. All right. So I'm in a folder. I'm going to run git clone that. Okay, I'm actually not very good with Git, but I do know that command. So what this is going to do is pull down this into my local, onto my local machine. So that pulls it down. So now I'm going to cd into that folder called my-shopify store, and I'm going to open Visual Studio Code so I can see this project. Okay, so here's my project. It's got lots of files. I'm going to take you through a few of them, but you can see the first thing that it doesn't have for me is a .env. And one of the things I hate doing is filling in environment variables. So Vercel I just really love Vercel because it provides a tool for doing this. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay. Hopefully you can read that because sometimes it's not 100% clear through Demio here. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the Vercel CLI, the command line interface, for working with environment variables. Because I know I've already deployed this. I know I've got those environments variables set up in there. So I just want to pull them in. So I'm just going to run Vercel. So this is an NPM package. You can install the Vercel CLI. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. That's, if you're this far, I'm sure you can take care of that one pretty easy. NPM I/G Vercel, something like that. But now I'm going to actually link my local code to my Vercel project. Okay. So it's in the Joel Vardy scope. And it found it, which is cool. So found that project for me. I'm going to link it. That's awesome. The only part about this is it does start a deploy, which I don't need to do because it's already deployed it. So I'm just going to Control C out of that. So I don't need to deploy anything. And now, of course, I've forgotten the command. So I now need to look it up. Goofy me. Vercel, CLI, commands, or maybe a reference. No. So I'm going to run the env command. I'm going to run Vercel env pull. Cool. By the way, these commands were here. Give that to you. If you're working with Vercel, pretty awesome. So it creates a .env file. I actually prefer it to be .env.local. My own preference. Okay, but you can see I've got my storefront, my domain, all those things are in here. So I can actually run this thing. Probably shouldn't be showing that locally, but whatever. I'm going to now run yarn install. I prefer yarn over npm because I find it to be faster. But you can run npm too. And then I'm going to run yarn dev. And lo and behold, we're going to have this thing running locally. So here we go. Localhost 3000, everybody's best friend, everybody's favorite local URL. If you're a React developer, you're used to this. What this is going to do is actually run this in local mode to allow us to do development on it, okay? And there is one small configuration / bug, which I'd like to fix. We're almost ready to fix this in the project, which I'm going to show you how to do right now. It's actually a little embarrassing. We should fix it like ASAP. But the product picker that's inside the actual CMS itself is pulling from whatever e-commerce provider you select, and we just have to point it to the right place because we just deployed our project, and we got to tell the custom field where to do that. Okay, so what I'm talking about here, I'm going to look specifically at this module right now. So this is our featured product module, but you can see that's not my product. This is a t-shirt. I don't sell that t-shirt. I sell the fun shirt. So let's look at how that should be working. Okay. So in Agility, the featured product module, which is on my homepage, is right now linked to this t-shirt. You can see this is a drop-down, and this is linked to the wrong set of products. And I can see my loading's failed because it's not going to the right spot. We need to make sure this goes to the right spot. And so let's fix that up right now. So the base URL for my shop is here. So what we're going to do is go into settings. We're going to go into UI extensions, and this is where you declare your UI extensions for your custom fields. And I'm going to replace this because it's going to the default one, right? I'm going to replace it with this one. I'm going to save that. And it's still not going to quite work because we have to tell it where to look up, because this is actually using an API route that's in here called search products to do this work. Okay. So I'm going to go in and find this public URL. It's called, and we're going to update this so you don't need to make this change. I just discovered this today as I was setting this up, and I thought, oh, geez, it works, but not for this. So we have my choose product custom field, and digging into here, there's basically, if you look for Vercel.app, I think it's called, here we go. Oh, I have it linked to the wrong one, of course. I even hard-coded it again to the wrong thing. I have to fix this. Gosh, don't let me forget to fix this in the base repo. So a few of you folks may have the wrong one because I was messing around with this code just before this demo today. Okay, so basically this is the URL endpoint that it's going to use to go find those products. Okay, what's nice about this is that it will work for any e-commerce provider that's set up. All right, so I'm just going to double check that this is actually going to work and find my products. It's not working just yet, but that's weird. It should be. Let me just check this in, and hopefully that'll update everything and it'll be all good. A little strange. Let's see if it works locally. Excuse me while I debug my code. Not finding any products. That's troublesome. Well, we've found a little bug in here, and hopefully I can fix that real quick. But I'm not sure why it's not finding my products. Just give me 2 shakes of a lamb's tail here. So that's calling into the search products code, which is right here. And what it's doing is it's calling, so they have this, the Vercel folks basically created this get all products filter. We're going to get the first 50 products, and we're going to filter them based on name. And something weird is going on. So I don't know if you're like me, but when I debug things, I just console.log, bug. Pardon me, I didn't mean to do any debugging in this, but I think my filter might be broken. I went out the description portion of it. We have no filter. Okay. Geez, it wasn't looking for no. How embarrassing. Okay. Pardon me, folks. Now we're working. So now if I search for, pants, it works. Okay, good. We debugged it. I will fix the base URL. Josh, you can you can punch me later. All right, so what I'm going to do is check this in right now and just sync these directly to the main branch, which you should never do normally. But I'm also going to show you some of the magic that happens with Vercel when I do this. Okay, if you're not used to using a tool like Vercel, Netlify does this as well, and you can set this up with any provider. But check this out. So all I did was check my code into GitHub, right? And so in GitHub, if I refresh this, you can see I have a new commit that's like 29 seconds ago, and you can see this little dot saying, hey, something's happening. It's building something, right? Well, in Vercel, it actually is listening to my GitHub repo and is now going to push this to production. So now I have those updates. It's all pushed up and it's there, so it's ready to rock. And it will be done hopefully lickety split, because usually builds happen, like the first build takes like a minute and a half. These ones are really, really fast. One of the reasons why they're super fast is Agility itself has this thing called content sync. And you can see that it kept the previous content as part of the build cache. You don't need to know this, but this is just awesome information. So there was no items returned. So if I had like 5,000 blog posts or something like that, and if I hadn't changed any, the next time I do a build, it doesn't have to do any work. So that's really cool. It's one of the reasons why Agility works so well with these static site generators that build like this. So pretty awesome stuff. Okay, so it's building. Hopefully it'll be done real soon. And then in a theory, now that this is hooked up to the right spot, I'm actually just going to double check it once we get built here to make sure that my product lookup will actually work properly. Then in theory, we should be good. I'm just going to refresh this because I think I need to refresh when I do that. And then, is it all built? It's built. Okay, good. Oh, moment of truth. Is my product picker going to work? Will Joel be forever successful? No. Damn it. Okay, we're gonna try one more time here. What did I mess up? Doggone it. Give me one more shot at this. I think I probably checked the wrong thing in, but let me go here. API, search products. Goodness gracious me, that should be working. Apologize. This demo was going to go a lot smoother, I promise. It's still going to the wrong spot. I think I have a caching issue. Let's do a hard refresh, shall we? I can't remember how to do a hard refresh in Microsoft Edge. Oh goodness! All right. Here, let's just close that tab completely. I'm gonna close all our tabs. I won't close all the tabs because Demio is actually running in Edge. So that all right. Here we go. Now it's working. Yay. Okay. Command Shift R. Well, thanks. Okay. So now we're going to switch this up with the fun shirt. Okay. So it's all to the fun shirt. We have this pulls in my thing, and I'm not sure what the URL. So I want to make sure this is going to the URL. Cache, the gift that keeps on taking and giving. Yes, you are right, Ken. All right. So now I've basically linked up my new product URL here. I'm going to save that. Okay, I'm going to publish it. Well, actually, I'm not going to publish it yet. I'm going to make sure it actually looks good locally. I run yarn dev again locally. Oh my goodness, I've even got a fly buzzing around my head. Okay. Oh geez. That's probably the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me, doing a Bing search by accident. Okay, so here you go. It's not the nicest formatted thing, so I probably want to have a better like cutout image if I was doing this. Okay, and now we have this nice image, the correct image. It's not as nicely formatted, so if I was building this, I would probably want to have a better product image to overlay onto here, but it does work to do that. The other spot that we've got products that are highlighted is in the blog posts. Okay, so one of the real powerful things here is not only can we sort of set up all the data that's not in our e-commerce system inside Agility to manage this website and build our pages, and but we can actually highlight products and help sell them using blog posts. Okay, so in this case, I've got this a blog post and I can highlight a product on there. So let's try and sell some socks here. Okay. So, I don't know how we sell socks, but these socks rock. Okay, rainbow socks is the title of the thing, and it's going to be a forest scene. I don't really know. Buy my socks, guys. Please. So we're going to save that. All right. Let's just see how this works locally. Again, I'm on here. In case you remember, at the bottom, we have a link to our blog. I'm going to run the blog. And we should see that updated blog post with my am I on my blog yet? Hang on. I think I clicked blog, didn't I? Here we go. Oh, goodness. And it's airing out because it's being a poopy pants. Hang on. Got something going on here. So I've saved this and it looks like I've got something going on that I need to fix in this blog post. Let's create a new blog post. All right. Really liking the fun shirt. That's great. Browse. Let's set it on the background of, I don't know, the street. It's a streetwise shirt. And this is the content. Need to hook this up to an AI content creator. That'd be a nice integration as well. All right. Okay, we've got this running locally. And this is blog/fun shirt. Here we go. So we've got fun shirt and we've got our blog post where that is highlighted on top of it. So a pretty sweet ability for us to highlight images, actual, what am I trying to say? Actual products inside our blog posts to actually help sell them. Okay. So we can embed our products inside the content of our CMS to do different things with it. We could build landing pages. We could build, the sky's the limit sort of for integrating this stuff and pulling the Shopify data into the Agility CMS data. Okay. And that wasn't the smoothest demo, and I apologize for all the little blips and glips. I've been trying to sort of make this the most streamlined no code process at first, and there is a little bit of code that's in there, but we're gonna work with the team to try and make that even more seamless. Okay, so what we've done, just to recap, we've created our Agility instance that has the setup data for our e-commerce project. We hooked it up to an existing Shopify store, my swag shop. We deployed it to Vercel, which created our GitHub code for us. So it does all these things to get started. And that was before we started writing any code. Then we cloned that code down locally and used the Vercel CLI to pull down our environment variables. So that's pretty cool. And then we made some changes locally and pushed those back up to Vercel. So pretty cool stuff. And we also set up some settings to fix the UI extensions, which Josh and I are going to work on to make sure that you don't have to do that moving forward. So that'll be our next step. But at this point, if you were following along with me and typing almost as fast as I was typing, you would still have to do this to basically switch this domain out for your own, and then inside the custom fields app, you would have to switch that one out as well. Okay. What we're going to do is actually switch this URL to be dynamically generated based on the deployment that you create inside Agility. So we should have made that dynamic to start with. And that's my bad. Okay. Thanks, Ken. I really appreciate the empathy. Empathy is the most important thing. And it makes me feel warm in my heart that you said that. Any questions from the folks on the chat? We're 40 minutes into this demo, which is overtime. So any questions that you have, please shoot me those questions. Or what I'd invite you to do is join our Slack channel. If you'd like to maybe some of the folks can follow us on Twitter. Join our Slack channel if you're especially for developers in the house. If you really want to learn more about this and get connected with other folks in the Agility community, the Slack channel is a great way to do that. I believe the URL is agilitysmith.com/join Slack. think that's the URL. Hopefully that works. Yeah, it does. Oh, there's another. Josh is right behind me. So you guys have been great. Really appreciate the support. Really appreciate you guys, all you folks following along with this. So many people signed up for this, and we have tons of people online. But this is a great way to get started with e-commerce, with modern web development tools to build a production-ready type site. We've had customers, by the way, like basically use this and start customizing it out of the box for their own needs, right? And get going really, really fast with their existing stores. A lot of those folks were either on Shopify or BigCommerce, but there's other stores you can hook it up to as well. Lots of documentation on the help site, help@agilitysms.com as well for this. Thanks everybody for joining. If there's any other questions, good place to do is shoot those through to the Slack, or you can even message us on Twitter. It's another place that we hang out. So thanks very much. Appreciate you guys, all you folks out there in the internet land. And there'll be more next time. Thanks very much.